The Police are an English rock band formed in London in 1977. They have a long-standing legacy with a string of UK #1 albums, songs that are amongst the greatest ever made, and fame like no other band. Their musical styles touch reggae, pop, rock, new wave and punk. I shouldn't have to introduce their songs really, but they were the guys behind Every Breath You Take and Roxanne, amongst countless other top hits. My name is Will, and this is a brief history of The Police. Whilst touring with British prog band Curved Air in 1976, Stewart Copeland met and exchanged phone numbers with Gordon Sumner, aka Sting. At the time, Sting was playing with a jazz rock fusion band called Last Exit. These projects soon fell apart as their respective bands split up, and so the two decided to form their own band, The Police, with guitarist Henry Padovani. Together they recorded their first single, Fall Out, which is the only record to feature Padovani as guitarist. In May of 1977, Sting took Copeland to join the project Strontium 90 with Mike Howlett. This is where they met soon-to-be guitarist Andy Summers, who had already had experience playing with the Animals. Becoming frustrated with Padovani's limitations as a guitarist, Sting took on Summers, but initially resisted the idea of dumping their bandmate for good. However, an ultimatum was swiftly delivered and he was out. The Power Trio had found their ultimate lineup and performed their concert in August of that year, drawing from influences of reggae, jazz and progressive rock, while still trying to draw in the punk audience. However, Copeland's older brother was initially skeptical of Summers being in the band, but still provided them $1,500 to finance their first album. Although this was a fair chunk of change for the time, this small budget meant that they would be left without a manager and were essentially on their own recording their first album. Copeland's older brother did, however, help the band significantly when he visited the studio one day and overheard them playing Roxanne. Starstruck by what he had heard, Miles got in touch with A&M Records and managed to get them a record deal just based on Roxanne alone. The single was eventually released but failed to chart, and so they promoted it through their record company under the guise that had been banned by the BBC. It wasn't, but their next single, Can't Stand Losing You, was banned however due to the cover's depiction of Copeland doing something a bit stupid. I can't say it on YouTube. This did reach number 42 in the UK, however their follow-up single, So Lonely, did not chart at all. Finally, Roxanne got the attention it deserved when they performed it on the Top of the Pops, gaining it the number 12 spot in the UK singles chart. Can't Stand Losing You was re-released however in 1979, following a grueling tour of North America, and it did reach number 2. Their second album, Regatta de Blanc, topped the UK charts and really shot the band into the limelight. This album was a strong sign of progression, with the band keeping many of the pop, prog and rock elements, but diverging slightly away from their punk roots. Message in a Bottle and Walking on the Moon both reached the number 1 slot in the UK, and the title track won them a Grammy for Best Rock Instrumental Performance. Following the monumental success of this album, they began their first world tour, which was documented in the film Police Around the World. Pressure was mounting from their record company for the band to record a third album and a prompt return to touring. They did release their third album, Zenyatta Mondata, in October of 1980. The album was recorded in only 3 weeks, but produced Di Doo 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 Di Da Da Da, that's a mouthful, and Don't Stand So Close to Me, both of which hit the UK number 1 spot. Despite the success of the album, the band expressed immediate regret over the rushed recording. Their fourth album was recorded on Montserrat and spawned even more hit singles with Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, Invisible Sun and Spirits in the Material World. The album once again gave them various awards, and so the band toured until 1982 when they eventually took a break to pursue solo projects. Sting became famous beyond the Police and even branched out into acting, starring in Quadrophenia, Brimstone Treacle and had a minor hit with a Spread a Little Happiness. Andy Summers recorded his own album with Robert Fripp, whilst Copeland composed the musical score for Rumblefish. However, Sting's fame would continue to rise with his role in the 1983 film Dune, and the rift between Copeland and Sting only grew further. Conflicting egos, worldwide publicity and fame, and their financial success all put pressure on the duo. The collapse of Sting and Summers' own marriages put further pressure on the band. Despite the tension, they recorded their final studio album in 1983, Synchronicity. Several critics deem them the biggest rock band in the world following the release of the album, and with songs like Every Breath You Take coming out, it's hard to say that they're wrong. However, this diamond of an album was made under intense pressure, and this was caused a lot by friction between the band members. Again, they began touring, and this shot the album right to the #1 spot in the UK and the US. At the Shea Stadium concert, Sting describes the venue as being his Everest, and that essentially he'd climbed to the peak and had nowhere else to go with the band. He decided to further his solo career with a solo EP, while Summers and Copeland went back to their respective solo projects. A sixth album was on the cards in 1986, but this reunion was short-lived unfortunately, as Copeland broke his collarbone. What did come of this, however, was Don't Stand So Close to Me, their final single as a band. Summers also explains that at the time it was clear Sting had no real intention of writing any new songs for the Police. The band went their separate ways and continued their respective solo careers for the next 20 years. They played a few songs at Sting's wedding and released a double live album, but that was it until 2007. They did a reunion tour, one that was massively successful in fact, but Copeland was hypercritical of himself however, leaving scathing reviews on his own website. Henry Padovani did return however to play Next to You for their final encore of their 2-part shows. When the tour ended, that was it. The band announced that they would break up and that there was no new album to come. And that's where the story ends, unfortunately. Although the band left an enormous mark on the world of music, the band is ultimately a cautionary tale in what can happen when egos get in the way of music. I don't believe that things really could have gone any other way, especially after seeing clips of the guys in the studio, but there's some sort of love that they have for each other, and clearly they're very good friends, but that they're the kind of friends who shout at each other, and that pressure and friction, that tumultuous relationship couldn't last forever, but it did help them forge a series of masterpieces, but ultimately this was never going to be sustainable for forever. But yeah, that was the story of the Police. Let me know what videos you want me to do next, what bands you want me to cover. I'm getting back on the YouTube game this year, hopefully uploading once a week, maybe more. We'll see. So expect 52 videos this year of 2024. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. Thank you for always supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. We're trying to get to 2,000 subs, so please subscribe and all the rest of the YouTube stuff. But yeah, thank you.